Well, it's that time of year. Christmas time is upon us yet again. That means Target commercials non-stop throughout November, and Mariah Carey awakens from her hibernation, growing stronger every passing minute her damn Christmas song is played. Impending Mariah apocalypse aside, I thought I'd look at games to play during the holiday season. If you think I'm gonna suggest Elf Bowling and Overwatch, you came to the wrong channel. I want alternative Christmas games. In the same way Die Hard is considered a Christmas film. These are games that either take place during Christmas, or have Christmas-themed levels or DLC. They don't necessarily have anything to do with Christmas itself. A lot of these games are rated M for mature anyway, and they're a bit more graphic than that Call of Duty snowball fight. You'd be surprised how many games out there would be fitting for the holiday season. I have composed a list of 10 of these games. These are 10 games to play during Christmas. The fourth case in the first Ace Attorney game is a Christmas case, because nothing rings in the holiday season like a murder investigation. Turnabout Goodbyes takes place on the night of Christmas Eve. It involves your rival, Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, being arrested for murder, and it's up to Phoenix Wright, the guy who couldn't remember the name of his first client who happens to be his best friend since childhood, to prove his innocence. Edgeworth is screwed. I forgot how much of a prick Edgeworth was in the first game. This is the game where he pulls out the updated autopsy report. I dare any real-life lawyer to pull this shit during a trial and not get their license revoked. This is the case where you learn about the DL6 incident that's been referenced throughout the game. You cross-examine a homeless man and his parrot, and you're introduced to one of the best prosecutors in the entire series, Manfred von Karma. This man controls the judge in the entire trial. He gets pissed when you waste time, and he will do anything to get a guilty verdict. He'll taser you inside of a police station and just walk out the door with zero consequences. Other than the case taking place during Christmas, you get the amazing Almost Christmas line and Santa Larry. This is easily one of the best cases in the entire series. I can't go too much into detail about this case without going into massive spoilers, but you need to check out one of Capcom's best franchises. It's available on practically anything at this point, so go nuts. Just imagine if it was the Penguin and you had to kill penguins instead of robot dolls. Penguins with rockets strapped to their backs too. It really does exist. It's a Christmas miracle. The Amiga version of Batman Returns has the rocket penguin genocide I longed for, so I had to play it. Unfortunately, this game sucks. Because Batman Returns took place during Christmas, the games that are based on it do too. In case there's any confusion, there's a bunch of different versions of this game, but we'll stick to two. First is the Super Nintendo version done by Konami. Hey, remember when Konami were great developers and publishers and they didn't absolutely suck? And two different versions that Sega put out, one for the Genesis and one for the Sega CD. The Super Nintendo version is a pretty unique beat-em-up, not in the sense that it handles very differently from a game like Final Fight or Streets of Rage, but it does have bikers, jugglers, and a mania mode, so it's more like Streets of Rage than Final Fight. You can throw enemies into the background and damage the background, which is pretty cool. To the window, to the wall, till the sweat dropped down my balls. A wise man said that once. Bosses will read the newspaper in the background, then they enter the fight. And there's your items like the batarangs, the grapple beam, the screen nuke, and you can drive the Batmobile. It's really cool that you can tear a piece of this wall off and hit this clown, just like in the movie.
You missed.
If I have to knock this game for anything, it's the fact that the difficulty, even on normal, is brutal. Catwoman is a bitch to fight. She's just stupid agile and does tons of damage. And you gotta fight her twice, and the Penguin isn't much better. Other than the cheap bosses and the enemies that smack you on wake up, it's a trial and error game, but it's totally worth it. With all these clowns here, you think the Joker was the villain. Maybe they applied to work for the Penguin after their former boss had that work-related accident. The The Sega CD version of Batman Returns has these driving sections that put the driving section of the Super Nintendo Batman to shame. It does go on forever before it goes into the Genesis 2D levels. You will grow some gray hairs and have some grandkids before this ends. The scaling here is impressive and the tracks have bumps and hills. This is cool. Why couldn't the Batmobile gameplay in Arkham Knight be more like this? And the soundtrack is amazing. The composer is Spencer Nilsson, who not only became a game supervisor for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but also wrote music for a bunch of Sega CD games, including the lyrics to that one Sonic CD intro song.
If you're strong, you can fly, you can reach the other side of the rainbow.
This is supposed to be an upgraded version of the Genesis game with new driving stages. This is more of a side-scroller than a beat-em-up. Catwoman is still a bitch to fight. While I think the driving stages are pretty cool, I think I prefer the Super Nintendo version over this. Why would you do this? And I think I gave up on this area where the foreground obscures these spike pits. Brilliant level design. Every one of these games follows the movie and are faithful to the source material. But if retro Christmas Batman isn't your thing, there's also...
Kill you! Then I'm gonna jumpstart your heart. And kill you again!
I feel like Arkham Origins got a bad rap over the years. Sure, it has a D-list roster of villains for you to fight, especially Electrocutioner. There are reports of game-breaking bugs, and the game itself didn't really meet a lot of the high expectations gamers had for the Arkham series. After the leap between an asylum to an entire city, I guess Arkham Country was the next logical step. It was argued that Origins was just Arkham City all over again, except it's winter now. Still, at least it didn't have these stupid fucking tank battles. I'm never gonna stop talking shit about the Batmobile in Arkham Knight. What Arkham Origins had were shock gloves that destroyed enemies and had a combo multiplier of 2. I had no idea how much I missed these things. We got this cool homage to The Killing Joke, which is one of my favorite Batman stories ever told. One of my favorite boss fights in the entire Arkham series is in Origins. Deathstroke. Because he's fucking Deathstroke. This fight shits all over his fight in Arkham Knight. There's no contest. Origins takes place after a jailbreak at Blackgate Penitentiary on Christmas Eve, while a bounty is placed on Batman's head. Origins is a prequel to Asylum, so they opted for younger voice actors than Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. And I thought Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker did a great job as Batman and the Joker respectively. All your favorite Christmas songs are here. Carol of the Bells, All Is Quiet, Skank Tank. So there you go. 4 Batman games to play on Christmas. Or just play more Batman, it's not like you need a reason. Okay, so what the hell does Tekken have to do with Christmas? If you look at the character customizer, you'll see tons of Christmas stuff for each character. I could be a reindeer. I can make Paul look like Santa Claus. I could put on a wrapping paper fundoshi. I don't have a damn clue as to why there's so much Christmas shit here. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna let it go to waste. Put on the hat, Brian. We're going to spread some holiday cheer.
You win.
That's not all. If you play Tekken Tag Tournament 2, there's a Christmas themed stage here. It's the perfect place for a reanimated cyborg and his ancient Aztec alien fighting god buddy to beat the shit out of a boxing raptor and his undead possessed 100-year-old partner. There is Christmas everywhere here. Most notably the group of dancing Santas in the back with the 40-foot Santa behind them. If a 40-foot Santa came to my house on Christmas Eve, I don't know whether to be excited or extremely terrified. I take solace in the fact that there is no way this creepy fucking Mega Santa could ever fit in my chimney. Now excuse me, Heihachi needs to celebrate the holidays with his devil wife. This is what true love looks like.
If you get in my way, I will... How do the Americans put it? Oh yes, bust a cap in yo ass.
Guess what? Bayonetta 2 is a Christmas game. I will defend the Switch and her console exclusivity if I have to. And if anybody has a problem with the game being just Devil May Cry with the chick, my response will be, that's the best part about Bayonetta.
It's not Christmas without caviar. Let's finish this quickly then.
The second game, which is my preferred game because it doesn't have QuickTime events. Fuck that shit. Starts during Christmas with Bayo shopping with Enzo until angels appear and shit hits the fan. Yes, you can play the game in that outfit. We even got a Santa Rodon.
Beautiful.
This is one of the most chaotic first chapters I've ever played. 2 bosses in the first chapter. Even if the Christmas theme stops right after, it's still a fantastic game with tons of action, beautiful set pieces, Easter eggs for days, tons of costumes, John and Rosa as playable characters, boxing, intense violence, nudity, on a fucking Nintendo console? Nintendo, the family company, is more lenient on censorship than fucking Sony. I could go on about how awesome Bayonetta 2 is with a fully functional R-Wing, and it plays way better than Star Fox Zero. Tons of weapons to put on your hands and feet. I can turn myself into a giant helicopter of death and put chainsaws on my feet. Or this chain chomp that never stops barking. Mobile suits, and of course,
Andy Williams!
it's on the Nintendo Switch and it's on the Wii U. Those are the only ways to play Bayonetta 2 at the moment. And soon we will have the entire trilogy on the Switch.
You know, I try to avoid doing this in my Sunday best.
Now I don't have that much experience with Yakuza. My introduction to the Yakuza series was Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, which is a Yakuza game set in the Hokuto No Ken universe. In that game you play baseball with motorcycles and an I-beam. When I'm done with that, I can go back to my night job of running a hostess club. When I'm done with that, I can go back to my day job.
You're already dead.
I can make random thugs explode, then take their money and play Outrun. I'm supposed to be looking for my wife right now, and that domed city with all the nuclear warheads inside of it is starting to look a little concerning. Outrun's more important, but if beating the shit out of people in a post-apocalyptic wasteland isn't for you, then beating the shit out of Japanese mobsters during Christmas time is the thing you need. Most of the Yakuza games take place during the holiday season. 0, 1, 2, 5, and Kiwami all take place during Christmas. It's not just some sandbox game. You can read manga, engage in all these side quests and mini-games, and then play some arcade games if you have some spare time. You get to meet tons of interesting and relatable characters that you may actually resonate emotionally with. These sandboxes are full of things to do. You may wind up ignoring the main story because of how much cool shit is around you. I definitely need to play more Yakuza games, and you should too. Merry Christmas, 1997. Before their merger with Enix, Square released Parasite Eve for the PlayStation in 1998. Let me tell you how ridiculous Squaresoft was. This is just a release schedule for 1998 alone. Bushido Blade 2, Xenogears, Brave Fencer Musashi, and of course, Guys. But Parasite Eve is a franchise that only had 3 games. Then it went to franchise purgatory with all my other favorite games. It was basically Resident Evil with an active time bar and RPG elements mixed in. It's a game that I just recently picked up, and I still have a way to go before I'm even halfway done with the first disc. But I couldn't talk about Christmas games without bringing this one up. It does start off right, with everyone burning to death in Carnegie Hall.
Everyone died!
You play as Aya Brea, an off-duty NYPD officer who's having the worst date ever because, you know. As she chases down a pyrokinetic actress calling herself Eve, while shooting mutated rats and parrots. Look, I know she set a whole bunch of people on fire, but you still have to read Eve her Miranda rights. You gotta do this by the book, Aya. It's not too often that you get to see RPGs take place in a realistic location, like Manhattan between Christmas and New Year's Eve, instead of your typical fantasy settings. Since this game takes place in a 6-day period, this also makes Parasite Eve a New Year's game as well. This is also Square's first ever mature rated game, and Yoko Shimomura kills it on this soundtrack. Part of me wants to see Square Enix remake Parasite Eve and make the first day an entire disc, with a bunch of whispers everywhere, and add some random biker guy who adds absolutely nothing to the story and... forget I said anything. It's better off dead. I had high hopes for this one. It ticked all the boxes for what I was looking for in a Christmas game. It was brutally violent. It had tons of Capcom costumes. Not only can I dress up like Mega Man X, Dante, M. Bison, Ryu, or many other Capcom characters, but I could do special moves like Dante's Round Trip, or Bison's Psycho Crusher. I didn't have to escort survivors anymore, which was easily the worst part about Dead Rising. Thank fucking God. I didn't have a timer looming over my head, so I could take my time and explore the mall, and fuck around with all my combo weapons. It had the Christmas setting and the holiday music in your face. The only problem is that I can't play this game if it's not December, because it causes me physical pain if I do. It looked like the perfect game for this list.
Kind of stuffy in here, don't you think? A little fresh air, you know. I really thought that would work.
Sadly, it wasn't. The quote, maniacs were pathetic. The NPCs were just window dressing. No side quests at all. The dialogue is fucking stupid.
Holy shit, Frank. This is some atrocity level shit going on here, and the best you can do is crack wise?
That is unfair. I have photographed things and thought about things.
And the sandboxes had almost no sand in it. Fun for a few minutes. Boring after an hour. The worst part about DR4 is that it's too easy. But despite all this, it was still as ridiculous and over the top as any other Dead Rising. It was a mediocre standalone game, but a terrible Dead Rising game. The developers at Capcom Vancouver did everything they could to make Dead Rising 4 from scratch in roughly a year. It's a tale of mismanagement, a rushed deadline, and almost half of CV's staff jumping ship when they were needed most. It led to arguably the worst entry in the Dead Rising series. Arguably worse than Chop Till You Drop, and that's saying something. But if you are going to play Dead Rising 4, then Frank's big package is the version you want. It has all the DLC and some bug fixes as well, but it's still the same disappointing game. That would be the last game Capcom Vancouver would develop before Capcom Japan shut them down. And as someone who played the first Dead Rising on the Xbox 360 on Christmas Day in 2006, watching this franchise die the way it did is heartbreaking. So it gets an honorable mention from me. But the game that does make this list, however, is...
I'm Gillian Seed. I've been assigned to Junker headquarters effective today.
I've heard all about your special training in the military, Seed. I hope you'll put it to good use on your new assignment here.
Know all about us, do you, Junker?
Humans are such weak creatures.
Do they intend to kill everybody?
Looks like I misjudged you, Junker.
This is one of Hideo Kojima's earliest games, years before Metal Gear Solid, and is considered a cult classic. There are times where I feel like Kojima's this guy who provides some brilliant and nuanced takes on politics, to the point where he basically predicts the world's future years in advance. There are times where he can write emotional death scenes with these fleshed out characters that you feel nothing but sympathetic towards, with some of the most quotable lines in gaming history. And then there are times where I could spit on the sidewalk and the puddle I left behind would be deeper than what this man writes. Snatcher is one of his better games. Originally released for the PC 8801 by Konami, you know, the company that finds new and exciting ways to shoot itself in the foot. Unfortunately, the Sega CD version is the only officially localized English version available. It has a few bits of censorship here and there, and one of the characters is 18 now. For reasons, but that shouldn't turn you away. It's still a fantastic text adventure with some decent voice acting for its time.
Welcome to Outer Heaven! Table for one?
One of the best intro songs I ever heard. Crank that shit! and a story that may seem like it's ripping off Blade Runner, because it's actually ripping off Blade Runner. It's not a Kojima thing. Japan really, really, really loves Blade Runner. You play as Gillian Seed, a Blade Runner junker who hunts down replicants, Snatchers, who are basically homicidal robots taking the identity of their victims. This all happened 50 years after a deadly virus called Lucifer Alpha wiped out tons of people in the 21st century. If that sounds familiar, it's because Kojima is a fucking oracle.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Seed became a junker thinking it will help him and his wife, who both suffer from amnesia due to cryosleep. Imagine you and the one you love becoming complete strangers to each other. I think I know some married people out there that are actually praying for this. But let's not forget, it takes place during the Christmas season. Neo Kobe City is full of Christmas spirit. There's an FM version of Jingle Bells playing in the background. And your informant, Napoleon, disguised himself as Santa Claus.
Wait a minute, you're no Santa.
How'd you guess?
What are you doing in that outfit?
This is another game that I can't really talk about without going into massive spoilers. And if I did, it would probably take me 5 hours to explain it because... fucking Kojima. But here's Sparkster and Dracula in a bar with Simon Belmont. If that didn't convince you to try Snatcher, I don't know what will. The arcade version of Battletoads has a Christmas theme level inside of it for some reason. You fight snowmen, this giant reindeer, and way too many rat elves to keep track of. The segue from a Christmas level to wherever this is can be a bit jarring though. But wait, the original version had a snow level in it. Well yeah, but let me ask you a question. Does it have blood? Battletoads Arcade is bloody and incredibly violent, and I love every minute of it. Like beheading a serpent, and then punting its severed head violent. Or shooting Robomanus in his exposed brain and watching him go into a seizure. He even wishes you a Merry Christmas before he dies. You remember that goofy-looking cyborg from the first game? Well, look at him now.
Damn!
He's 76 feet tall now. He weighs 6 tons. Holy shit. If I was the father of whoever drew this, I would hang it on my fridge. This is the first Battletoads game where you can play as all 3 of the Toads at once, and it's also the last Battletoads game before the 2020 release for the Xbox One. Is it the Xbox One? The Xbox One X? The Xbox Series X? Maybe the Xbox Series S? Help. I haven't played the latest version yet, but it looks like complete shit compared to the arcade. Look how they massacred the Dark Queen. This crime will not go unpunished. Battletoads Arcade was developed by Rare, and published by Electronic Arts, the same EA that won the Consumerist Worst Company of the Year award for 2 years in a row. This game made practically no money, and led to a 26-year hiatus for the Toads, and that's a damn shame. Also, because it's a Toads game, it's somewhere between impossible and unfair. I could have put a down payment on a new car with the amount of imaginary quarters I spent trying to beat this. This made Batman Returns look like Big Bird's hide and speak by comparison. The only home release the arcade Battletoads ever got was the Rare Replay in 2015. 21 years later. Unlimited continues and no friendly fire automatically make this the best Battletoads game around. I would rather this be the last Toads game than...
Suck my frigging butt, you backstabbing punks! Chug my dump truck, you stinky wimps! Beep, beep!
Kill me. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Zinyak's statue. I watched septic waste glitter on office buildings in Stillwater. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to cringe.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
Arguably the best DLC expansion to come out of Saints Row 4 was How to Saints Save Christmas. In an already batshit insane game where you're the president of the United States with superpowers, in a virtual simulation run by an alien overlord, the Christmas DLC somehow goes above and beyond even that. How far beyond? We got a future Shondi warning us about the threat of Santa Claus, a pissed off evil version of Santa whose strength comes from naughty people.
Come midnight Christmas Day, Santa Claus is coming to town, and unless we stop him, he is going to put the universe on the naughty list. And trust me, you don't want to be on the naughty list.
We haven't even gotten started. How about giving presents and coal to kids in a rocket-powered sleigh? How about giant nutcracker robots and gingerbread men? How about a reference to A Christmas Story?
Wait! Claus is still too strong, and you'll shoot your eye out!
A few moments later.
Damn it! That hurt!
If that isn't enough, you can take all the DLC vehicles and weapons and whatever into the main game for some holiday-themed mischief. There's even this part where you can either go to the stables to unlock Santa's workshop, or lick this candy cane barricade on the door. I survived the Earthbound waterfall, this is nothing. After 5 minutes of licking, the cane disappears in the door.
Minty! Oh, it's locked.
I'd be more pissed off if I didn't get a trophy out of it. There is so much you get for your money's worth here. It's worth it just for the Die Hard sweater alone. I'm not too keen on a new Fortnite season disguised as a Saints Row game coming out. And some fans would rather see the Saints return to their roots instead of flying over the shark. But if you're looking for a wacky sandbox game with a text adventure on the side, and who could forget the dubstep gun? Saints Row 4 is the gift that doesn't know when to stop giving.
I'm looking for rough sex, and Kinsey scares the shit out of me.
I stay on top, and you don't get to talk.
Deal.
Alright, that's gonna do it for this list. So have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Crazy Kwanzaa, a Tip-Top Tet, and a solemn, dignified Ramadan. I'm gonna go get drunk and watch Blade Runner.